Tourism Tax Committee to order. And first thing will be discussion and action on the minutes of the April 21st, 2029 meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Connor?
Aye.
Melinda? Terry?
Aye.
Charles? Noel?
Aye. Discussion and action on the April financial report.
Okay. Starting off, we have $643,783.04. We have $150,000 for the Alva Arena Authority, $3,000 for the Alva Chamber of Commerce Northwest Oklahoma Visitor Center, $28,800 to the Big Cruise and Car Show, $4,500 to the Alva's Crazy Cool Boulevard Cruise, $12,600 to the Alva Chamber of Commerce Tourism Promotion and Marketing Project, $6,000 for the Northwest Oklahoma Rodeo Association for both June and July, $3,000 for the Salt Fork June Jam, $10,400 to the Alva High School Northwestern Shootout, $5,000 to the 24th Annual NWOSU Football Golf Tournament, $500 for future, $2,500 for standing, which leaves us with $414,483.04. And I know that the POs were not updated on page 5, but from last month, but it was probably because it was at the end of the month whenever we had our last meeting. So, but everything's current from what I just shared.
When do we get the new budget or start the new?
That's what Angelica was going to talk about.
The budget, yeah, the budget will start July 1st.
July 1st. I
So
know
that's
that.
like-
And we're projecting a flat spending budget again this year.
It's the same.
Talking about maybe having a special meeting before on the 16th, because I'm going to be gone around that time, so. But I was going to see about Angelica.
So Angelica's going to talk about that tonight.
Yeah.
So we'll need to do that right now in financial news.
You can't approve it, but you can talk about it as part of the financials.
Okay. So it's essentially, it's the same budget that we approved, that the city council approved last year. So it hasn't changed much. We're in a much better cash position as far as the city is concerned, but what we've pretty much been going forward with most of our departments is relatively flat budgets. Does not impact here, but for other departments where we have personnel, we are looking at some pay increases for them, but generally speaking, all the other components of the budget were kept the same or flat. We do have some capital improvement expenses on some of the other budgets as well, but once again, not really applicable for this particular budget. So it's relatively the same budget that we approved, the city council approved last year. And I know there was a lot of conversation last year when we were talking about it. It would ultimately be if we needed to make a budget amendment. There is money in reserves that we have from previous years. If there is a need for a budget adjustment or budget amendment, we could make that through city council if there was a need from this commission. So.
Okay, so the current budget is 155 and the actual is 78,302, and then the re-estimated actual, it's like 135,000 difference. What?
So that basically, that calculation takes into account like the past several years and then what we've collected each month, and it creates an adjustment. I don't anticipate that we're gonna get to the $209,000. We've collected, let me see here, just do it. So we've collected about $7,000 a month. If you average that out over the 10 months that we've had, it's been about $7,000 a month that we've collected. Now we know, in reality, we collect, at the first month after the end of the quarter is really when our revenue is coming in, so.
Okay, so that just has to do with collections, that's not what we've spent.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And then on the back side of it is the expenses. You may not realize that it's two. The front side is the revenues and the back side is the expenses. So you can see where we've spent year-to-date $95,000 and it's estimating $170,000. So it's once again, it's going back and taking previous year's data and calculating that. You guys have worked very well to stay within the budget that we set, and I think it's been appropriate for this year. Next year may be different, and based on what your needs are, we may end up having to make some amendments if that's what you choose to do. And, how we would utilize our cash reserves there.
So the $100,692, okay, current budget 155, year-to-date actual, is that what we spent? Does that include everything we've already approved?
That does not include the encumbrances. For this report, it only actually shows
What
what's
has been cleared and paid.
what we've paid, yes,
Okay.
what we've paid with checks, yes.
But it would include the things that were encumbered last year that we hadn't paid at that
Yes,
time.
yes, that were paid this year.
Right. So where we at on our plan for the state to collect?
So, I've talked to state, well, it's not state auditor's office. I have talked to the state auditor's office, but that's not who I've talked to for this purpose. It's the tax commission. So I have sent their requirements that we have, I sent those on to Rick. I've also sent on she has a copy of our ordinance. Basically, we've got to make sure our ordinance is in alignment with what the tax commission says, and then once we do that, it would be on city council to basically, we want to take that action here, and then city council would take that action with city council to have the tax commission collect that. So when I look at it, I don't think there's any reason that we can't do that, but obviously Rick needs to make sure that when he looks at that ordinance, that everything is appropriate like it should be.
When do you think he'll make that determination?
Oh, no, I can follow up with him on that.
Okay.
I can have that for the next meeting, the report on that.
Thank you.
One more question. So it says we've spent 100,000, and then we have like, I don't know, 60-something thousand encumbered, right? That was okay. But some of it's not really until the next fiscal year.
Right.
So that doesn't count against us,
It
right?
wouldn't account against the
Even though
next
we've already
fiscal year,
approved it.
because we've already approved it this year.
So then we've actually gone over.
Well, but that's what this report is a little bit tricky, because it would include any encumbrances that we paid
From
from
last.
last year too. So
Okay.
when we look at the financial statements, we're still within our budget
Okay.
for this year.
Okay, well, we can't approve anything tonight.
I'll visit with you guys so we can get a special meeting scheduled. I apologize for not getting this on the agenda.
We can approve our financial
You can
report.
approve
We can
Yes,
approve our financial
yes,
report, we just
yes.
can't approve the
The
budget.
budget itself.
And so you said that we're gonna need to do a special meeting next time because you're
maybe the
gonna be
first
gone
week.
for regular meeting.
Yeah, maybe the first week of June, if that would be okay,
Oh, okay,
if that works for everybody. But we can talk about that after.
okay.
I'll maybe we approve the financial report.
Second.
Charles? Connor?
Aye.
Melinda? Terry?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye. All right, next is discussion and action on the Alva Rotary Club 4th of July Spectacular not to exceed $12,500. That's the fanciest dressed guy we've had come make a presentation for a while.
Well, as I was saying, I just got back from court in Enid, and so I will blame it on that, but I could say I dressed up for you all tonight. That'll be fine. That fireworks guy, this is what they all look like, so. I was just looking at our contract that we got sent because I was checking to see if there was any problems. We talk about the same stuff every year. Fireworks are expensive, they get more expensive, and they're getting harder and harder to get. Take COVID and throw that in there, and China shuts down for a while, and then they don't send even more over for a while. So the good news is we've been with the same organization for a few years now, and they've been able to maintain prices really well for us and keep getting us the same level of stuff that we have. Last year we scrapped everything and went to a fireworks only show because that's what we were all doing in July, is not hanging out in big groups. This year, while things are opening back up, and I know there are opportunities to do more and return to what would be the full day event that we would like to have, it's not going to happen this year. There was too much uncertainty, too many things that you had to order before we knew we were going to get there. And whether we're really all the way there yet or not, I don't know. That every individual, let alone every club, feels like where they're at there. And so Rotary is an organization that's down in numbers because we didn't meet for a year or for a long time. So it's going to take us a while to get numbers back. It's going to take a while to get back to the bigger events. So this year's plan is just a adaptation of last year's with a little bit more. We're going to go back out to the rec park, we believe. I don't know that I've asked for approval, but we got it last year without it. So that works well for just an event in the evening. Plenty of parking spaces all over the place. We're trying to get people to come there. We'll have some food and drink related deal to get the people out there to where they can sit on that area and go from there. So there in our budget there is a little bit of money that we're planning on spending to entice the people, give away some stuff. I actually thought about just like having a ton of popcorn bought from one of the businesses, and we'd be able to hand it out and have the snow cone guy out there or whatever and let people get in that area and do that. But outside of that, I know there are other events that are going to happen on the 4th of July. There are other people that are keeping some of the other events going. The fishing derby and Kids and Cops is trying to do something with that, some other people. So hopefully this will all merge back into a bigger event when the world completely returns to normal, if it ever does. My request, I guess last year, I don't know if I asked for the same amount or less or what, I put in, we're going to still, Rotary's back meeting, we're going to try to hopefully get money through the donation process, but all of the budget basically is fireworks this year, and I couldn't come and ask you for all of it. You guys have been a great, source for this event, but now that we're not able to do as much, it's not as tourism related as we can be. I still think people come. Well, I actually know people come, but from out of town to come see this. But the numbers are obviously been depressed for a year or so. But the request would be for $12,500. That all goes to the fireworks. Last year's bill was $15,000 for the fireworks, and I asked for the same thing. I got the same thing, and they sent me a bill for $15,000. So that would be no increase unless I find something that they deleted off. We might be staying with them and being good for them. We actually helped them with another town on a different day, not 4th of July. So I've been driving to Medford for a couple of years now, firing off their fireworks show. We got them to buy from them, so I think they're being good to us. So that would be our request. I believe the intent of Rotary is to get numbers back and go back to that event. I'd like to go back to the park someday, to be real honest. I like shooting down there a lot better than I do up here. If it's 113 degrees and a 30-mile-an-hour south wind, that's going to be the worst place in Alva to be. It'd be at the rec park, but hopefully that won't be the case.
So lots of good comments about out there because everybody could see it from around town, and it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's like a blank canvas. I like that place. I can spread fireworks out all over the place in that practice football field. It's safe. I get distances. You can have a lot of fun at that, and that's what we always talked about. It's just that is potentially one of the hottest days of the year, and there's no relief for anything. To have a full day event, I know this is still a complication, but I think you have to have a water source and a pool nearby. I just don't feel like you can have people there out in the open like that, and so our base plan has always been keep people safe. The park, it's not the best, it's not the best canvas to try to paint on down there when you're doing that. It's a little bit different, but it was fun last year out at the rec park. It'll be fun this year too if everything works, because we try to add something into it, make something different, and that's a better location for that. And being able to park anywhere is amazing. I mean, you can park at the fairgrounds, the VOTAC parking lot, the rec park. A-Bar, yeah, but that's a great place to do it. And that's why the football field used to be so good too. It's about the same level.
So, I was in a group recently that was talking about the fireworks, and this was just a thought for you guys might consider, since you're not going to have approval anytime in the near future, real near future. We just had a tournament deal at the ballpark that had 35 ball teams 2 weeks ago. Little kids, apparently that's the thing. One of the guys that working for me has his daughter's on a traveling softball team, and she's in the 3rd grade. And they were in Cushing last week and stuff. And so that might be a thought to have come to this committee at some point for a tournament to hook in with your fireworks, and you could have bouncy toys at the fairgrounds and a pool building. And
That actually came up. That's interesting. I wonder if the same people were at that meeting. But I have to call and check the rec park to make sure that they're not having something. Now that becomes the ultimate problem, is that you bring 30 softball teams in and bring them to where I'm at, and now I have to have, if I'm going to follow the rules like we always do, I'm going to have basically security to make sure that they're not wandering in places. It gets dark, people start walking around, or even during the day. So for us to be able to go up there and set up and not be the old system where it kind of all comes in on a trailer and you park it there beforehand and then do it and then leave, when we set up on location like that then extends this barrier out where no one can even be inside of. So that was the first thing that I would like for there to be something going on at the rec park, but I just know how I would maybe be able to shoot from the same place. They don't want me to get any closer to the fairgrounds because we have way too many horses out there. So, and I understand that, and I'm mindful of that, but I don't know where else we go if we do that. But getting it back to a full day event, getting something that brings people in there, that would be great. And that wouldn't be that weekend. Usually, the one person I talked to said that the traveling softball stuff kind of is done by 4th of July weekend most times. But I don't have anybody that's doing that. That's just what the statement was to me. But our community just had stuff during the summer more like that, even like just to have activities out there all day long would be nice, or use that facility on that day for something else. Sure. But unfortunately, this year I can't believe it's already the end of May. So this stuff's going to have to be put together and done if we're doing it this year here pretty soon. So it kind of sneaks up on us, and so hopefully the grand plan will be to get things back to normal next year, wherever the location might be. Any other questions?
I feel like $12,000 is a lot of money. That's out of our budget to spend on 30 minutes. It's not really. I have a problem with it, bringing people to town. I mean, I might bring a few people to town from the surrounding towns, but I don't think it's putting anybody in hotels. And the way we we used to do it, and I know COVID, I get that. But, you know, there would be some people that would come, and I just don't feel like it qualifies. It's an awful lot of money. I feel like it could be spent on something that's gonna bring people to town to stay in hotels. So that's kind of my thought, but.
I will say that the city itself, either through this group or before that, the Chamber of Commerce, or the city council, has funded this activity for
Many years.
many, many years.
Yes.
I was gonna ask how many years do you know?
As long as I can remember.
Yeah, whenever I started shooting fireworks, we were coming to the city council to get the money.
But it just seems like we've taken away from what we used to get for the money. And I mean, they're, 12,500 can fund a lot of things. You know, maybe a reduced amount, I don't know, but I mean,
I think, yeah, if it's just fireworks, but it's a casualty of COVID too. I think if you look at pre-COVID, fireworks show at the pool was the event, I mean, it was the top.
oh, it was amazing.
It was unbelievable.
It was, every year it got better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the momentum was huge and it was unbelievable event. So I think maybe to keep that in mind as far as, you know, if we're not able to support it, that we'll have the ability to get back to that.
I feel like it's for the citizens of Alva, and the citizens of Alva should support it. They should fund it, the businesses. I mean, I know when we moved here 20 plus years ago, you know, we'd have Rotary people asking us for money. I don't know when the last time was they asked me for money to fund this, because they get so much from here. And no, I don't want to hear from the Rotary for money tomorrow.
They do still send out, sponsor rocket, things like that,
Yeah.
because that's how we made up our
But I mean,
Our
they
budget,
would
but it's-
push it. They'd
it-
call, they would beat the door down. I mean, they would figure out how to get the money in there.
It,
And I'm a lot
it
more
has
likely
just
to
dwindled
pay.
a lot in the last couple of years. I mean,
Yeah.
we've still been able to not deficit spend too much on this deal, but I mean, it got to be a pretty big event. I mean, the whole
Oh,
event
yeah.
was $30,000 for the whole event. And, you know, luckily with the company that we work with, we're not locked in with, you know, what we have. Alva could have a smaller show and still have a show if that's what was necessary because of the other things aren't, you know, there, but, and I believe that stuff is going out again this year, or if it hasn't already, it's supposed to be going out for, you know, to the businesses and to the individuals, anybody that wants to sponsor it. So I understand those concerns, and I know I missed part of the financial report, but I got the feeling that the numbers are different right now as they, and I understand that, so. We just tried to, if we want to maintain where we were at, we can stay there. If we need to dial it back, whatever, or see if the sources are there. I just luckily am in a position where we've got our stuff reserved. It's ours if we get it, I'd like not to cut it back just a whole lot, but that we'll do whatever the town wants and what we can come up with, so. I
Well,
understand.
I think it is an important event, but I just don't know if this is the right place to be funding it. Because we downsized last year because of COVID, you know, and I know everybody did, but I just think that it's a lot of money.
I just don't want them to lose their momentum if they have to go with something smaller. And then next year, last year we only gave them X.
We gave them 10,000 last
You know,
year.
well, I don't know what, I mean, but I'm just saying for next year,
You say 10,000?
I'm pretty sure it was 10,000.
I mean, you
No,
know,
I mean, I'm not 1,000% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure.
What
I
last
just
year's
don't-
request
I don't
was?
know.
I think it was 10,000.
I think it may have been, that's why I tried to, and and that just what was on the application this year when I
Yes.
got, so I know that, that was, they knew what we were at, what we were trying to do, so.
Jody's looking,
10,000.
$10,000 last year.
But I feel like it's a thing for Alva, and Alva should fund it. And I mean, it's important. And the 4th of July, it's an citizens of Alva, so.
I do know people, I mean, I don't know about the hotel room, but I know people are coming in for that. I know lots of people that come to Alva
Well,
for
sure.
that show.
I agree,
And
my kids
I know
go,
that they come and it's,
my kids go to Hartner and they go to Catherine, but, you know, they don't spend any money there. They bring an ice chest and they go into town and then they come home. So that's kind of what I don't know, I'll watch it.
I was just, in the last couple of years pre-COVID, that I was just impressed with the event that was going on. And COVID kicked everyone in the teeth, and so I don't want to kick something that's is my deal on it. I want it next year, like Jesse said, the idea would be to get back to that. So I'd be hesitant to keep us from getting back to that.
Yeah, I don't wanna, keep Rotary from being able to move forward with their big event next year. And, I mean, I know that's been hard for them because they couldn't meet for a year, so.
This group can make a motion for any amount that they want to make a motion for, or not make a motion.
I mean, Terry, would you feel comfortable with a lesser amount?
Much, like maybe 25%. Because like I said, I mean, I feel like we scaled back last year, and then this year, I mean, Rotary does a ton. I mean, I know it's a hard event to staff, I mean, and I appreciate all of
Holiday,
that.
Yeah.
And it keeps them away from their families, I appreciate every bit of that, but, it's like a meet in the middle type deal, maybe have a few events, have a 4K and a fishing derby or something, I don't know, I mean, I'm not, I don't
do
go to
think
any of
Jesse-
those.
I do think Jesse said that there are some, like the kids and cops are gonna do the fishing derby and some other things there.
So are they gonna come ask us for money, do you think? I mean, maybe that money would be better spent
I-
or something like that, I don't know, but,
Yeah, I have no idea,
but it's, I mean,
never know.
we don't always have to agree, so it's okay.
Well, I mean, I do know that in the past Rotary has asked people for money, and I think I remember getting a letter, I don't know if I got one last year, but, I mean, we got a letter asking us to sponsor rockets. I mean.
Oh, I have in the
just,
past.
So I think last year was kind of a, just a fluky thing, and so I feel like this is still, they didn't, in February and March, we didn't know that we would be at this point. I mean,
Yeah, we're very blessed.
yes, so I just don't want them to suffer because, they didn't know in time to order things and have the bigger event, so.
Well, and for anybody, not just as to this point, I mean, at a dollar amount, I mean, like I said, this can be whatever size show anybody wants to do. So if part of the committee wants to do that and approve that, we'll scale it and make it work one way or the other. That's not a certain, and still obviously, if that's what pushes us over to get the rest of the money to keep the same show, going back and getting back to some of those roots, because those things it is too easy to come to this committee. I'll stand right here and tell you, it was too easy for several years to come to this committee and ask for that. We were growing and getting bigger, and just, I didn't want to put $12,500 on this year's application, to be real honest, so. It just is,
Pre-COVID, what you guys did was,
well, and I appreciate that, but it can be whatever, all this stuff can be
is the goal to
detailed.
get back to what it was?
That's gonna be our goal. I don't do this, I think I've said every year, this is probably one of the more expensive hobbies somebody can have, because you get down 30 minutes later and you don't have a lot to show for it, other than, a lot of, but that's what but that's what the other towns and everyone kind of has always done over these years. So maybe that's an element that, goes away someday because it's cost prohibitive, but we have never said that we're not going back to, and I believe everyone still intends to go back to the full day worth of activities, as long as there's some, support there to do so. As long as people want to come and attend, I think that's what it will be. So, it just could not be this year, in our opinion. Honestly, manpower is probably the worst part of it right now. Not everybody's on the same plane. But I'm, vaccinated, not worried about it, got my stuff. I'll do that. Not everybody's there. Not all these events are going back. I don't want it to be like this again next year. If it's this unsettled next year, that it might not ever come back. So, but that's where we remain. At least I don't really speak on behalf of all of Rotary. I'm not their president.
I guess, I mean, if we came back and the request was the same for the same event next year, I think I might be not so for it. I'd be asking questions and wondering what's going on and wondering where we're at. But I mean, for this year, I still, with everything where it's at and what you said, I mean, I think it's important. So. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve no more than $12,500 for the 4th of July spectacular.
Second.
Charles?
I abstain.
Okay. Melinda? Aye. Terry?
No.
Connor?
Aye.
Ron?
Thank you.
All right. Discussion action to enter into executive session. Do we need to do that?
I have a little bit of an update, which shouldn't take long.
Okay. So at this point, I will ask you and the mayor to stay.
You need a motion first.
Okay, I make a motion that we enter into executive session.